morning.
Morning. Morning.
You know, when George called me, he said, well, we're just going to have a few things going on. I'd like for you to stop by and say a few words. And next thing I knew, he grew into this. He did tell me, though, that we was taking me to lunch and that they quit serving at 2 o'clock. So he said, come be in a hurry. But I went and visited a special aunt of mine last night, and she said, you have 1 hour. But it is indeed an honor to be here. You know, just to the my left, you're right. There's a room full of people that have a story just like mine in a different way. They too chose to serve their nation. Some of them through drafting and others through volunteer. But they answered their nation's call. And it's an honor to always just to be and just to walk in that room and feel their presence. You know, me personally, 39 years and 1 month to the day, I was met at the interstate with a lot of whistles and bells and fire trucks, and I was escorted down to City Hall. And as I look out today, I see some of those that were there when I came home in 1973. It was kind of strange because the dignitaries got up and said their things, and I was given the key to the city. And then when it came to my turn, the only words that entered my lips was, thank you. And no matter how I tried, I was overwhelmed to see how many people cared. And again, I'd like to thank you for your prayers during that period of time, for standing by my family, and telling them and comforting them and reminding them that things would be okay. It was going to be a tough road, but all of us holding hands, saying a prayer together, or whatever way we would get through this. And by the grace of God, I came home. First, I'd like to open up and share something that was written by a high school senior some 15 years ago. It's a little poem. It's called, I Still Care. Life to me is like our work. Sometimes it's a war between brother and sister, mother and father, and country and country. Some people couldn't give a darn about a war unless someone they knew or themselves was in it. And sometimes they still don't care. I don't know anyone from World War I, but I still care. My grandfather was in World War II. I still care. I don't know anyone from the Korean War, but I still care. My father was in the Vietnam War. I still care. My brother was in the Persian Gulf War. I still care. My grandfather, my father, my brother, they all came home. Thank God. They are my heroes, and I still care. I'd like to take you back in time. You know, I was talking to some of my classmates and some of the friends that we grew up in the village together. You know, and I was thinking back about that time. You know, I've heard the term that it takes a village to raise a child. And I can remember some of these guys that their parents corrected me as well as my parents and grandparents corrected them. They took an active role in ensuring that we would turn out okay. So the discipline that I learned from living in the mill village, the things I learned when I saw people get up and go to work every day. And I would walk into school, would see people hanging clothes on the back line. Everybody had his or her responsibility, and they lived up to it to their fullest. So these are the values I learned by growing up in this beautiful community and sharing life with our young kids here. And we knew that there was someone looking, there was someone that cared. And when we crossed the line, they were there to make sure that we always knew where the line was drawn. And so it made us better people as we entered out into the world. And I thank all of you who participated in helping me build the strength to endure what I endured. I left here when it was time. I was trying, you might say, beat the draft, because at that time, we had an obligation. It was an accepted responsibility because my uncles and older cousins before me had worn the uniforms of my country. And it came my turn. And I chose the Air Force, headed to Lackland, from Lackland to Alpha, Oklahoma, Osan, Korea, and back to Grand Forks, North Dakota. During that time, a lot was going on in our country. I was very fortunate that the men and women I served with had a lot of experience under the belt. They were the heroes of World War II and heroes of Korea. And they were always calm, cool, and collective and says, there's nothing that we can't handle. And I was on active duty when we had the Cuban Missile Crisis. And I saw our nation rise to the occasion and stared the enemy in the face, and they backed down. I was in Korea when our president was assassinated, and we thought, well, we didn't know what was going to happen. But again, the old head stood up and said, we can get through this. I was in Korea when the presidential election came about in 1964, and I had my first opportunity to exercise my right to vote. And I like the idea of LBJ when he stood up and said, I'm not going to send American boys to do what Asian boys should do for themselves. And so, you might say that was the last Democrat I voted for. Because less than a year later, I'm sitting in a prison camp in North Vietnam saying, what happened? As I was in North Dakota, it came down on told me about Southeast Asia. Because it was out there, nobody was talking about it. There was nothing in the press. And each day, our leadership stood up before the world and said, we're doing nothing. At the same time, hundreds, in some cases thousands of young men were departing the shores of America to go to Southeast Asia to assist in their freedom for others. Because the only way we can remain free is to have freedom for others so that we can have strength and unity.